Welcome, everyone, to the Family Guy podcast. This is our first episode. We're just starting things out, seeing how we go. I'm your host, Michael Prieto.
I'm your co-host, Jesse Garcia.
I'm guest host, Grace Prieto.
And I'm Marty Gonzalez. What's up?
All right. Martin, are you guest hosting?
Yeah, I'm guest hosting. yeah, forgot about
All right. So for the first episode, we're going to start with something simple, something that everyone would love in a Family Guy episode. And that's the Road 2 episodes. The Road 2 episodes are basically the Brian and Stewie episodes. They're a mini-series, kind of like how Tom and Jerry films are done. They take a lot of inspiration from old shorts. And, yeah. So the episodes that are being ranked in this episode of the Family Guy podcast is Road to Rhode Island, which is season 2, episode 13.
Dare I say fun? We're off on the road to Rhode Island.
In this episode, Brian picks up Stewie from his grandparents' place, and they lose their plane tickets back home, so they have to find another way back home. The subplot is that Peter gets addicted to a porn after trying to improve his relationship with Lois by watching tapes for that. The second episode is Road to Europe. This was season 3, episode 20.
You and I are so awfully different.
In this episode, Stewie leaves home in order to live on Jolly Farm in England. Brian follows him to take him back home, and in the subplot, Peter and Lois go to Kiss Stock, which is a Kiss concert, and Lois embarrasses herself after exposing herself for not being a real Kiss fan. The third episode is Road to Rupert, where Brian accidentally sells Stewie to someone who lives in Aspen, Colorado.
You show us.
I'll show you.
Let's do it.
Good. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
And Stewie and Brian have to chase that person in order to get Rupert back. And in the subplot, Peter gets his license revoked after pulling a stunt, and Meg has to drive him around. The fourth episode, Road to Germany, Mort travels in Stewie's time machine to the invasion of Poland in World War II. The fifth episode, Road to the Multiverse. This one is where Brian and Stewie travel through different multiverses, with different rules and laws, and cannot find their way back home. Sixth episode is Road to the North Pole. Stewie and Brian travel to the North Pole to kill Santa, to find out that Santa is overworked due to overpopulation and is dying. They assume the task of becoming Santa for the night.
North Pole, there it is! My word, I really must have been asleep. Ah, look at this. The tip of the earth, Brian. Okay, let's go see Santa Claus.
All right, let's go.
Seventh episode is Roads to Vegas, where Stewie and Brian travel to Las Vegas but accidentally create another version of themselves. One where they have a great time in Vegas and are really lucky, and one where they have bad luck and get involved with the underworld of Vegas. And the final episode is Road to India. This is season 14, episode 20. Brian falls in love with an Indian woman who works in tech support and travels all the way to India to be with her.
What the hell is this?
Oh, in India, it's traditional to do a final musical curtain call over the end credits.
So, the way this is going to work, we're going to speak in order. Starting from number 8, we're all going to go... we're all going to say our number 8 picks, and then go onward with number 7, so on and so forth. So, I'm going to start this discussion by saying my least favorite episode in the Road 2 series is Road to India. What I don't like about this episode is a lot of the cheap humor. There's a lot of Indian stereotypes, and not that I'm Indian myself, but there's just a lot of cheap gags to shit on Indian people. What I do like, I guess, is the subplot a little bit. Not really. It's not the best one. Overall, it's the laziest Road 2 episode.
So I was only able to see, unfortunately, 5 out of the 8 episodes because I ran out of time. But I think my least favorite one would... Hold on. That's the wrong one. My least favorite one would have to be the first one, Road to Rhode Island. Simply because I like more of like the older ones, or like the ones that I've seen where it's just Stewie and Brian, and like you have the other subplots of like Peter and Lois, and he gets addicted to like the porn VHS tape, and I don't know, Peter was just kind of like douchey because he was like, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. So the standout moment for that would be the VHS tape, because I always forget how old Family Guy is, and he's like, oh my god, a VHS tape, and I'm like, no one ever gets excited about a VHS tape anymore. So that's my standout moment. The subplot is okay. I like more of like just Stewie and Brian.
All right, I guess I was able to watch all 8, or I have over the years. I was just missing India, and honestly, that would probably be my least favorite. And like Mike said, it was very stereotypical, and I just was like, I mean, I guess like a lot, like he was saying, a lot of cheap humor, a lot of it. Like I was like, I mean, I guess I feel like, as I love Family Guy, but as the years progressed, I'm like, some of their jokes are like, you could have done better with that. You could have gone in a different direction, and I definitely think that could have been a good episode if they had gone in a different direction with like without those cheap shots. But one of my favorite things that they did, or like, it's so dumb, but it's such a small scene. Stewie tells a joke, and like, but it's like an elephant, like, you know, like one of those Hindu elephants from their culture, and he's like, I forgot what the elephant's name was, but it was like, it was. Yeah, there we go. It was great. It was a great little scene that I enjoyed.
Yes, let's go get sandwiches at that new deli I keep hearing about. Thanks, Ganesha.
So, as for me, the one episode from all of these that I feel like I'm also on the same, boat as you guys. Like, Road to India is probably like, it's relatively new, so I kind of haven't really caught up with the newer episodes of Family Guy in terms of like the newer seasons. But with that being said, like, I saw all the other seasons religiously as a kid, so I know most of the episodes. But I did see part of the Road to India, and I will say that was kind of like my least favorite as well. Just seeing how the other ones have accomplished like actual like, you know, funny moments in Family Guy's history. So I really do think that as for the India one, I think it also, like you guys said, it could have been done better. And yeah, it was pretty cheap and not as what's it called, like pow around the kisser for you, like for the other episodes, you know. those you know, it didn't get you like that. So I feel like they could have done better. But yeah, I would also rank that one at number 8.
Yeah, a closing thought for number 8, or like for Road to India, actually, it doesn't feel like a Road to episode. It just feels like they slapped the name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically that. Gonna be moving on to number 7 now. My number 7 is Road to Europe. The reason, like, this one, after Road to India, so from number 7 and onward, these like are actually good episodes. Road to Europe just happened to land on the bottom for me. Not really because it's bad or anything, but because the other plots for the other episodes are just 10 times better in my opinion. One standout for me that I really found funny was when Brian and Stewie I forgot what their conversation was about, but Stewie tells him how he's won still. And I think this episode was like,
I remember that.
Yeah, this was like this was far into the series, and Brian just goes like, still? And yeah, this is just like proving Stewie's immortality or something like that. I just love how he doesn't age, and they acknowledge that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Michael on this one. Road to Europe was my next one. It's, out of the other ones that I've seen, they're just a lot more interesting, and like they get into like a lot more like crazy hijinks that are just a lot more fun. And then Stewie like wanting to like live in his favorite TV show, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, I get that, you know. And then him realizing, oh, it's it's all fake. It was kind of like, okay, I get that. That's normal, you know? And then I even noticed they're even doing a dance number, and Stewie references I Dream a Genie, like, very briefly. It's, like, not even acknowledged. Not that that was cool. And I thought it was really funny. I think one of my favorite stand-up moments, which I have two, a little bit, sort of. Well, just one, actually. Stewie and Brian are trying to get food, and then they go to, like, a restaurant, and everyone's smoking, and they're like, oh, that smoke is terrible. And then they all just, like, they just end up getting high.
That was really funny.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, I forgot what they were talking about, but they were talking, like, those pretty standard high conversations, like, bro, I'm telling you, you have it all wrong. And then I thought it was funny when Peter and Lois go to Denny's, and then she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then it's like, yeah, that's just about it, really. That one's not that interesting. It's a solid episode, but it's just not as interesting as compared to the other ones that I was able to see.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That one's kind of towards the top of my list. That one, I really like that episode. I think. Well, let me start off with what was my next episode that I was like, it's all right. Mine was Road to Vegas. I really like that episode. Don't get me wrong, but I think it just, like, I'm like, oh, they, like, die, and that makes me uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just the thought of, like, they saw themselves die. Brian saw Stewie die. You know, like, it's scary. Like, it just, like, left me with that like, eerie feel. You know, and, like, watching that, like, you know, we shouldn't have been watching this, but we were watching this as kids, so you're like, oh crap, you know, or however old we were still not adults. We weren't supposed to be watching that. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite scenes though, it's like it's like at the very beginning of the episode when they're like, I guess it didn't work, but like you see the other like half of like the other clone of them, and they're all doing their stuff, and like you just see like the montage of them having a shitty time, and the other clones, like, they're living their life, and in the end it, like, you know, it goes the opposite direction, and they just go home, and, like, you know, it's just like, oh, like, traumatized. And I felt traumatized after that episode. Yeah.
Good pick.
Well, as for me, I'm a little torn between. Well, Road to Europe, you guys made clear, you know, your clear stances on that, and I do agree. It's for me, it's not as memorable, besides the kiss part, which is kind of funny as well. But I also gotta, like, go with what Grace is saying too. Like, Vegas, Road to Vegas is kind of like, I don't know. It's one of the newer ones, but I also think that it's kind of weird how it happens. Like, how is it that a teleport machine splits them into two different versions of themselves? But I mean, you know, it's a show, so it doesn't really matter how that happens. It just happens. But I just think that since that happened, like, now, so what? Like, there's a good luck Stewie, and then there's the bad luck Brian, or something like that. So I don't know, like, are they still the same people, or are they just different? I don't know. So I just think that some of it doesn't kind of make any sense, but at least in my opinion. So I would have to just put on number 7, Road to Vegas, because I mean, some of the jokes are cool and all, but overall, I mean, it is fresh, but also at the same time, it was just not that good. Not that memorable in terms of the other ones. But
Yeah, no, I get you, man. Fair enough. Yeah, I believe Grace has a question.
No, I think I was just thinking this, like, I think, like, the reason why we kind of don't like the newer episodes and stuff like that is because Family Guy has, like, gone away from, like, Stewie is, like, he's still super smart, but he doesn't have all these gadgets and inventions. Like, they don't get into little quirky little, like, adventures together, you know. And I feel like sometimes, like, we need to bring that Family Guy. We need to bring some of that stuff back. What happened to his, like, weapons and all this stuff? Like, they don't mention it as much. The plot of him trying to kill Lois gone. Literally,
Yeah.
like, I guess, like, he still doesn't like her, but, like, he's not trying to kill her anymore. Like, I'm like, I mean, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. They turned him more into kind of the baby character,
Yeah.
slowly,
I was
with a little bit of
yeah.
gay questioning.
Literally,
obviously.
you know what?
Yeah.
That's what I forgot to
A
mention.
little bit? I don't know.
I forgot to mention for the 8th episode, Road to India. Like one of the episodes, one of the scenes I really liked was when he says Brian says something that he wants a burger, and they're like, oh, how dare you disrespect our culture? We worship cows and stuff like that. He's like, what do we do? He's like, quick, press the red buttons. And they like turn off. And I'm like, okay, let's head out. And like at the same time, Stewie's like, yeah, let's look at the wieners. Like, you know, like, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I
He's
know what
like,
you're
yeah,
talking
no,
about.
like, yeah, let's head out. That's what he says.
That's fun.
That's good. All right, yeah. Overall, that's our number 7 picks. It's kind of a split between Road to Europe and Road to Vegas. That's interesting. I like how diverse our list can be.
Yeah.
We're only going to see more of that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
My number 6 pick, I'm going to pick Road to Rhode Island, Season 2, Episode 13. Once again, not a bad episode. I think one of the worst parts about this episode is definitely the pacing. This episode didn't really rely too much on cutaways, but at the same time, they didn't really reward us for not having cutaways. There was an explosion just now. But yeah, outside my window, sorry.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, I think it did have a lot of funny moments. Like a standout for me was when they were on the train and they talked to someone who's like train hopping, and they were like, "Oh, queremos ir con ustedes. Me llamo es Brian," and the guy can explain how his sentence is wrong in perfect English, but the only sentences he knows in English is that sentence, and him explaining why he knows that sentence in English, or that the fact that he knows that sentence in English. And other than that, Brian responds like, "You're kidding, right?" And the guy goes, "¿Qué?" I just love that moment so much. That's a really funny moment.
Hola. Me llamo es Brian. Let's see. Nosotros queremos ir con ustedes.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But actually, when you said me llamo es Brian, you don't need the ace. Just me llamo Brian.
Oh, you speak English?
No, just that first speech and this one explaining it.
You're kidding, right?
¿Qué?
But yeah, overall, the pacing could have used a little more. They could have sped things up a little.
Okay, so out of the next 3 episodes that I did see, it was kind of hard to pick which one would go next, because I think they're all pretty great. So my next one would be Road to Rupert, which is Season 5, Episode 9. That one's just really fun, because that one kind of just goes right into it, and whenever Adam West shows up in a Family Guy episode, I just think it's great. He's just hilarious. So Brian accidentally sells Rupert to someone, and then they find out that they're moving, and then they like kind of they jump into Adam West's car, and they're like, "Follow that truck," and he doesn't move, and he's like, "I heard you, but I didn't hear was please." and I love it. It's so funny, and he says it so nonchalantly. And then he gets to like the Connecticut side, and he's like, "I can only get to this far because if I touch Connecticut, I touch every other state that's been with Connecticut." And it's like that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, what are you talking about, Adam West?
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Follow that truck. Didn't you hear me? I said follow that truck.
Oh, I heard you. What I didn't hear was please.
Please follow the truck.
And then there's that. I've noticed. I don't know if they all have them because I've only seen 5, but I've noticed for the most part they all have musical numbers, and they try to like force it as much as they can, and they're like trying to get a helicopter. They're like, "Oh yeah, look, we require a $10,000 deposit or a show tune," and they just break out into like a musical number, and then Stewie's dancing with that one dude. I always kind of like cartoons interacting with humans. I think that's fun, you know. But a kind of a standout moment in the episode for me is when, like Michael mentioned earlier, Peter gets his license suspended, so Meg has to drive him around. He's in the back of the car and he's complaining about wanting apple juice, and they put an episode of SpongeBob and they're singing the campfire song, and I was like, oh my god, we have a SpongeBob cameo.
Yeah, I love that scene. It's I think it's like ripped.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a cover of it. It's like the actual scene.
Yeah, it's the actual one. Yeah, and it was like I had to do a double take. I'm like, there's just no way that's the actual scene.
Don't remind me. It's bad enough I got a suspended license. I got to ride around town with stinky McPoop pants. I want apple juice.
Dad, you left your apple juice at home.
I want apple juice.
You want to watch SpongeBob?
Yes, with apple juice. Hey, SpongeBob. Hey.
Actually, going off of what Jesse said about Adam West, so I was very confused why Adam West didn't come out in the Family Guy episodes anymore. I asked Mike, I was like, hey, why doesn't Adam West come out anymore? And he's like, he died. I'm like, yeah, I know, they killed him off the show. Why would they do that? He's like, he died. And I was like, what do you mean he died? It's like, Adam West, the actor, died. And I was like, oh shit, no way. He's like, like Angela, they killed her off because, God forgive me. Carrie Fisher, there we go. Princess Leia, she died. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. That's kind of something like I think Family Guy does a good thing on doing that. And thankfully they haven't really been main characters. I mean, they were, but you know what I mean? Side main characters. But moving on, my number 6 I would agree with Mike. Road to Quahog. That would be my number 6.
Rhode Island.
Quahog? Oh yeah, Rhode Island. There we go. Yeah. I was like, I couldn't remember the episode. I just wrote Quahog. I like how they did the musical number. Don't get me wrong. Like when they're in the train, I feel like that's probably most one of the iconic scenes that that episode has. But I don't know. It was like you said. It was a little bit late. Like not lazy. But it was just slow, and you're just like, whatever, all right, let's watch this episode. Kind of, it's not an episode like, oh, let's watch Road to Rhode Island. I'd be like, you know what I mean? I'll pass. But it's still good.
Oh, okay. Alright. So, like we said earlier, how you guys put Road to Europe on your 7th one. This would be our 6th one, right? Yeah, just that one's also not as memorable. Besides the kiss, the whole subplot. I think the subplot was just the most memorable part about it. But I mean, I have really not much to say about this episode. I just think that it just belongs on. It's a little better than Road to Vegas, in my opinion. But the one thing I will say about Vegas again one more time is I just enjoyed that it was more Stewie and Brian centric episode, but I feel like the subplot in this one kind of overshadowed that. So I'll put Road to Europe on my 6. Right? Is it 6?
Yeah, it's number 6. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's my take on that.
I've been switching it around between 2 episodes, but I'm just gonna name the one I'm listing finally. That's gonna be Roads to Vegas. What I didn't really like about this episode was how this episode was released during a time when Family Guy had seen a decline in not only its audience, but its overall critical acclaim. The episodes weren't really regarded as highly anymore. They started to pander more towards brain-dead humor or easy jokes, cutaways. But what I did like about this episode, I think Grace mentioned it earlier, was the whole montage of Brian and Stewie having a shit life while another version of themselves were having the best time in Vegas. It really highlights what could happen in Vegas if you go. I like the whole, look into gambling addiction when Stewie bet everything on a stupid, off of a whim that had no evidence whatsoever because he picked the wrong number. He bet on craps to a Taylor Swift song called 15, I think. But he accidentally put 16. And the winning number ended up being 15. So I really found that scene to be funny. A standout moment was when Stewie got killed, obviously. That scene was pretty brutal. That was really sad, but there was someone who came in who was his, I guess his hookup, and he was looking for someone named Archibald Meat Pants. I really found that name to be funny. Yeah, I'm a little immature, but my number 5 pick, Roads to Vegas.
Kill you! No, kill him! He's a baby. He won't even remember he was alive. You son of a bitch. Ah, Stewie! Now get us the money you borrowed. Oh my God, Stewie, no!
Yeah, I was booked for 3 hours by Archibald Meat Pants.
He's dead.
Okay, well, either way, I'm getting paid and somebody's getting torn open.
This is a close tie, but I'm going to go with Road to Germany, Season 7, Episode 3. I'm a sucker for time travel, and this one had a few references to Back to the Future, and I was like, oh my god, I love Back to the Future. When they travel back to, was it 1939? It does like the booming, and then they skid, and then there's like fire tracks right behind them, and then there's like that whole Stewie does the skateboard scene with the Nazis, and then when they're throwing the bottles at him, it's the exact same motion that they used from the Back to the Future movie, and like the whole, obviously him running over the car, and then on the skateboard doing the little like he lifts it up and then he curves. I just love Back to the Future, so I thought that was awesome. Definitely 2 standout scenes was Mort as a priest, and he kept like trying to like bless the dead Nazi or whatever, and then he was like, oh, I'll be a mensch, and then Stewie and Brian like and he was like, oh, an old book, but not too old, still good.
I love that scene.
It's hilarious. And then there was the sidecar scene, because there's like an old video of like Batman and Robin in a sidecar, and every time they hop on, I just think of that old like YouTube video, and I'm like, that's hilarious. But I did have 2 questions, because I know Family Guy, I've seen a few clips, and there was one scene in this one where they put a newspaper in the trash chute, and then it covers the other U-boat that the Nazis are trying to chase after them, and then there's like Hitler shaking hands with Mickey Mouse, and they've made other jokes about Walt Disney not liking Jews.
So I think the thing that like they have against Disney is that there's a short cartoon where Donald Duck is a Nazi, and I don't know if you knew that. It's a short. So I think that's why they reference that so much. Like, you know, Walt Disney hates Jews, and it's because he made that short. And like, Disney's pretty good at getting rid of stuff, but that's one of the things they haven't been able to get rid of, because, you know, there's millions of videos out there. That and Songs of the South. That's basically a racist cartoon of like slavery and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why they poke fun of Mickey Mouse and Nazis and stuff like that, because Donald was a Nazi, and he had the whole patch and everything. Yeah, he had it like on his arm. Yeah, yeah, it was literally the symbol. It was crazy.
That was during war times,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of propaganda that Disney was doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They wild for that, but yeah.
It's crazy.
I think my next episode would be, you know what, I like Mike. I've been struggling to like, oh, what's the next one? I think it would be the Road to Europe. Road to Europe. It does have something like it is in the lower half. No, it's like in the upper half, just because, or is it? Whatever. It does have some like special connection to me, because one of the scenes that they do, I always mention it to like me and my brother always mention Mike. We're always like mentioning it, like we're upset. I'm like, you want to go take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes? And then he'll nod his head, yeah. Like, let's go take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes. I am always referencing it. It'll be random, you know. He'll be mad. I'll be like, you want to go take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes? You know, it's that kind of thing.
You want to get some ice cream? That'd make you feel better, right? You want to get some McDonald's? You want to take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes? Okay, let's go take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes.
But honestly, like, thinking back about it, I've watched these episodes before, but I haven't watched them in a while. I can't really remember much of it. So I'm like, that says a little bit about that episode. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, as for me, this would be my fifth choice, right? So,
Yes.
I would say it would have to go to Rhode Island. I know it's basically like the first one, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I give it props for like starting this whole, you know, like these episodes, you know, like starting it off and eventually getting some really good ones. But I just think I might have seen this episode way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just hate that last scene where they're singing on the train. I just find it so annoying. But like there was a time where I did like the little singing note that they had, but it was just, I was like, yo, how many times do I have to hear this over and over? Like they always pass this on the damn TV and I can't get over this thing, you know. But you know, there was nothing else on TV, so I was like, I guess I have to just suffer for now. But there is a nice connection with like Stewie and Brian, so like you actually start to see them more as a couple. So I will say that it's one of the better ones, so that's why it's like kind of like almost right in the middle for me. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we'll be moving on to number 4. You can, if you've seen the episode, you can talk about it, of course. But my number 4 pick, that's gonna be Road to Rupert. That's the one I confused earlier, because I made a little goof up. But our editor will take care of that. So what I did like about this episode is the subplot. I fucking love the subplot with Meg. I think this is like one of the first times they make her a three-dimensional character, like not just the punching bag of the show. Well, obviously they do like shit on her a little bit, but she retaliates from that. So you finally get to see some backlash from the actions that are caused upon her. I think it's a little fucked up that Peter says like, I'm still gonna treat you like crap, but just to keep the image up, like just so we can still keep up the illusion. I was like, wow, that's so fucked up that Meg is okay with it. But a standout moment from this episode is definitely the Gene Kelly dance number with Stewie. The one where they replace Jerry, and it's like, you know, well, Mr. Kelly, will you show us? I thought the animation on that was really funny, and I remember watching it last night with Martin, and he was like, wow, it's awesome that this was a whole 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just non-stop just watching them dance. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that's my number 4 spot, Road to Rupert.
I would have to agree with Mike and say Road to Rupert would also be my number 4. It's just one of those episodes, like, you know, it's like, I love Road to Rupert. Like, it's really sweet how, like, Brian knows how he messed up, how bad he messed up, and he's, like, willing to take that extra step to go save Rupert. And I also think it's really cheesy how they incorporated that, like, that musical number. But I enjoy those musical numbers. That's, like, part of the road to, like, vibe. Yeah, basically, like, that's what makes Road to kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually agree with both of you guys on this one. Number 4 is actually Road to Rupert as well for me. This one's actually has a nice place in my heart, I guess, because it's really funny how they have to just find Rupert, and it's kind of funny because like Brian just somehow just sold the doll to some random guy at the yard sale. Like, oh, how does that happen? I don't know, but but it happens, and then you see this whole journey with them. So I think it's really funny how they go through such lengths just to get a toy. And one of the funny things was like that Brian was like an idea that he's came up with was just trying to buy a new toy for him, and he gets like a gorilla, and then the gorilla is all like, it has a little note saying that if you don't buy this gorilla, we will kill one. No.
Oh,
it says, buy this gorilla, you'll save a gorilla. If not, we'll shoot one or something. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's exactly like
yeah. So I love little jokes like that. One scene that really stood up to me was, what was it? I just saw this last night. Like the Meg, that was the Meg one, right? The subplot with Meg, that was really great.
Yeah.
It was also pretty funny how Peter just like, to keep up with appearances, he has to keep shitting on Meg. Mm-hmm. But it was nice that we saw like some kind of father-daughter type situation. But yeah, the ending was fun too. The snow race, it was so wacky, but you know, that's Family Guy. I feel like that was an actual true Family Guy episode. So yeah,
definitely.
Going back to what Michael said earlier when he goofed up was when Stewie had the cabin on his skis, and then with the crone guy just walked, like he's just in the cabin. The butler, because it calls crone.
Yeah, I guess that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like crone, and like he just shows up in the cabin. And it's like, where was this guy?
He got manifested or some shit.
Yeah, and then at the end, he's like, "Nah, I haven't moved on." And he's like, "Oh, crone," and then he
on the kid's
eyes. On the little kid.
Yeah,
it was not the kid.
That kid was a little piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, and then they carjack. They carjack.
Oh yeah, with the starting race gun.
Yeah.
And then Stewie just like, he breaks the window, and they pull the guy out from the window. They don't even open the door.
That scene was really funny.
Did we just steal a car? We sure did, Brian.
We sure did.
Sure did.
And then that's how it ends.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was great.
All right. Moving on to number 3. This is my number 3 spot. I'm gonna have to pick Road to Germany. I thought Road to Germany was like, the next episodes that I'm listing are peak Family Guy. Definitely peak Family Guy. One thing I really liked was how they took the high road with Mort's character. Normally in Family Guy, he's the one-dimensional Jewish character. Like, they pick all the stereotypes with him. But since he traveled back to, to Poland, and he goes to his family's wedding that was happening in that time, I believe it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like how it was really sweet how he wanted to see his family. That gives Mort a lot of character, something that Family Guy doesn't really do. So that's something I really appreciate. A standout episode. Martin knows it. I know it. It's definitely the whole, the invasion of Poland scene where they're dancing to a folk song. I forget what the song's called. It's like in Poland through a Jewish village or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's like
so good.
It's just such a catchy tune, and the split between like the shift in tones from like it being a song about a happy wedding to a song about preparing to attack all these innocent people. It's just brilliant. That's like something Family Guy doesn't really do. And I appreciate that. So yeah, that's my number 3 spot.
I would agree and say that Road to Germany is also my number 3 spot. I really like how they it was just funny from the beginning. Like, Mort is looking for a bathroom and he thinks Stewie's time traveling machine is a porta potty, because I could see, but not really. But anyways, so that's how he gets put like back in time or whatever, and they go look for him, and there's all these little things that like, we need batteries, this and that. But one of my favorite scenes from that episode is when Stewie and Hitler, they meet up, they get together, and like Stewie just puts like a little Hitler mustache, and they're like looking at each other, and it's like a mirror, but obviously Stewie's shorter, and they're just like doing this for like a good 2-3 minutes, but I forget what happens. I think did someone sneeze or something?
Stewie spits in his face.
He spits in his face. Yeah.
Well deserved, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was pretty much, I really liked that episode. And like Mike was saying, Mort gets his dimension. Like, we don't really see much of him besides one other episode where they burn down the pharmacy. Or season 9, episode 1, where they go in HD, that the murder whole thing, which he's a character but not main character, but we do see a little bit more of him in that episode. But in this episode, like, he's like the star,
We see that he hates Muriel in that episode, in the mansion episode.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
When
I
he was
remember
like,
that one.
Oh, she was so she was so beautiful. We were in love, but yeah,
we were married. We were married. He's like, we were married. We were married.
Yeah. Okay. So, I am completely gonna turn to a different episode. I think Road to the Multiverse is my third favorite. But like you said, Michael, these are pretty top tier episodes from this point on. So I do agree that that this show's good. I mean, this episode's good. But you do see like what's hot Meg in this one, which is kind of funny. And then you like wait until you see Lois, you're what was the joke they said?
Your penis will need a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So there's some funny moments, and then like there's also one with Quagmire. He's like, "Oh, I got AIDS again. Oh, time to take my AIDS pills and whatnot." And like, and then he just gets like it's cool. It's a cool idea, but I just don't. I find it kind of. Well, no, it's not that I don't like it, but it's just funny that they go to a universe where their dogs are like, and humans are pets, so like dogs are the dominant ones, and then like freaking Brian's just all weird with one, and it's so fucking weird, but I just think he gets licked by a human, and it's
he's just like letting it happen.
Yeah, it's like, you freak. I just think it has some really good moments. So, not much complaints. Like, the jokes are pretty funny, or if it's a fresh idea, and we see more different versions of Stewie. So, can't go wrong with that.
True. So that sums up our number 3 spots. My number 2 spot. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's Road to the Multiverse. This episode is just little fun fact. It's the most viewed Family Guy episode, I think. What were you doing? Okay. But yeah, one thing I really liked was Human Brian. I found it really funny how they just killed him off screen. I don't know. He's just finally gonna have his own life, and off screen he gets run over by a car. I just find that really ironic, since he was a pet in his own dimension. But other than that, I really like the concepts of this episode. There's a lot of thought put into each of them, each of the universes. Like where they see Hot Meg, that's a time when Christianity didn't exist, or a multiverse where it didn't exist, and everything is just so advanced. Another great standout moment was, let me think. Obviously the beginning, the pig. Right? Pulls out the pig. Oink. Yeah, it's just a buff ass pig. Just punches Brian and sends him flying. But yeah, Road to the Multiverse. That's one of the greatest episodes of Family Guy. my number 2 spot.
I also agree. It's my number 2 as well. The multiverse. I think one of the things that makes me laugh the most about that episode is the Disney part where they're like, "Oh my God, Brian, look, I'm so cute. Look at my buttons and stuff like that." And then Mort pops out, and then they're like, "Jew," and then they beat the shit out of him. Yeah. And it's like one of those things where like Family Guy's like roasting Disney for making that mistake like a while ago, but I mean, still well deserved for, you know, that was a really big mistake that they made on their behalf. But I think it's just funny how they always poke fun at Disney for that, and it's not something that like they just do, like they've been doing it for years, ever since the beginning kind of thing, you know, and they just continue to mock Disney for it. It's a great episode. They do put a lot of detail into that. It's like one of those episodes I feel like you can watch while you're high and you're like, wow, this is great. This is like, you're like, you know what I mean? Mind blown type of thing.
We don't condone doing drugs in general.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So, I completely forgot about that whole multiverse thing though with the Disney one. That one really is really good, and I always thought it was like really well made. Just, you know, little what's it called, like callbacks to like Disney characters. So like Meg's Ursula for some reason and something like that. Yeah, so I thought that was great, but for my second one, it would have to be Road to the North Pole. Now, granted, this is a really well-written freaking episode. Like, it has... I think it's a pretty lengthy one, right, Michael? Like,
yeah, it's a 48-minute episode.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really long.
Special.
Yeah, it's a special, but I do like a lot of things from it, like including the story, like how people are just get, I guess, greedy. Like even the main characters they just want stuff, but they also like it kind of affects how like Santa is doing all these toys and everything, and more, and it just kind of hurts the spirit of Christmas in a way. But essentially, like Stewie is off to go talk to Santa, right? Because what was it, Michael? Like he's on the road to the North Pole to talk to Santa about to make sure he's real or not, right?
No, he was gonna kill Santa.
Oh,
was gonna
right.
Kill Santa.
Yeah.
And Brian was backing him up to prove like because Brian thought Santa wasn't real.
Oh,
and,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought like once they actually got there, I think it's really like dark and like sets the tone. Like, oh shit, things are really bad. Like the whole thing with the reindeer and the elves, they just like slaughtered them in a way, and it's kind of sad.
I remember that part.
Really
I'm sorry,
sad.
I remember that part. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really sad and fucked up and dark, but I mean, it's really great, like, and a fun spin to like really knock the audience's expectations on where you think the story's gonna go, and it just goes completely different. And they also have a nice musical piece, which I think, like Grace said, is the standard for a Road 2 episode. So, yeah, it's still a solid episode. It's great.
Okay, so the one scene I do remember about this episode was when when they're trying to deliver the presents, and then they, like, break into the house, and then the family, like, wakes up, and then, like, I think they tie them all up, and they get knocked out. And then they're like super stressed out, and then they're trying to figure out ways to like how to properly deliver presents. And then Stevie's like, "We've been in here for an hour. We still have to deliver toys to the rest of the planet."
Yeah.
And then I forgot whose idea it was, but then they decide not to deliver toys that year. And then Peter wakes up the next morning and he's like, "Oh, I don't have anything under the Christmas tree." And then it's like the whole kind of world kind of learns to like reappreciate Christmas, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was nice. And then I think now that Martin brought it up, when they go to see Santa, I don't know if it's it was this episode or if it was something else, but they're like Santa's complaining about not being able to make enough toys, and then I think he says something like, "Oh, you try making an Xbox out of like wood, iPod, yeah, iPod out of like with your bare hands or something like that."
Yeah. So, Martin, you took the words right out of my mouth. Pause, but yeah, my number one pick. It's an easy one. North Pole, Road to the North Pole. In my opinion, this is basically a Family Guy movie. This is the closest Family Guy could get to being cinematic or in any way. Well, not that the other episodes aren't. Like Germany obviously has the whole airplane scene that feels really cinematic, but Road to the North Pole consistently just feels like, you know, there's a message in that movie or in this episode. This is like one of the only episodes that speak to the audience. Obviously, once like you said, Martin, it talks about how people can be so greedy. Even the first musical number, like All I Really Want for Christmas This Year, they're all saying how they want a Lexus, a bunch of kegs of beer. Herbert wants like a kid that he can do unspeakable things to, and yeah, everyone just wants something bizarre. And yeah, that's really what I enjoy about that. That's something I enjoy about that episode. And another thing, Martin, that you said, the episode is fucking dark. It's so damn brutal. In the musical number of like Christmas is Killing Us, all the elves hang themselves in the end of the episode.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just so brutal, and I love it. I think the episode is just really sad in general. How Santa pulls Stewie's gun into his mouth, like, just fucking do it already. Hang on, just a sec. Anything else to be said about this episode? I have no complaints for this episode in general. I think a really funny moment, another funny moment that I really like. I would say this to Jesse all the time when we were kids, was when he sees the elf that's just standing there. They're really trying to get meat for the reindeers to start them up. So he just cuts off the arm of one of the elves, and he's just brain dead. He doesn't know where he is. He's just like, hey, and just keeps cutting.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
That's so freaking dark.
Yeah. Road to the North Pole, the best Road 2 episode, in my opinion.
Okay.
Jesse.
Okay, so now this is where I come in.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. My number one pick would be Road to the Multiverse. So that was tied with Road to Germany. Yeah, Road to Germany, because I'm a sucker for like time travel and like multiverse stuff, you know. And I noticed, because this was like one of the later episodes out of the 5 that I saw, the opening credits for the Road 2 episodes would normally be like the same. It'd just be like Brian and Stewie just kind of like being on like different
panels.
Yeah, different they're different panels of adventures, but they were like they would use the same ones for the first episodes, and then in this one they kind of like change it up a bit, where I think it's like Stewie and Brian are in the lava lamp, and then there's one where Stewie and Brian are in are in a pinball machine and they're like running away. So I thought that was I really liked that. Also, of course, Adam West comes out in like the opening of this episode, and they're at a fair, and that's when Stewie has a pig, and the guy's like, "Let me guess your weight," and he's like 195 or something, and he cops on, and it's like 15 or like 5 pounds or something. And he's like, "Wrong, I'm 95% helium," and he just flips away and grabs a prize. Yeah. So like, all of the Adam West scenes are just like show stealers for me. I think they're hilarious. The pig with fists, like I thought that was like, when you're watching it, it's funny, but then Brian is standing right next to Stewie, and he doesn't see the pig until it like zooms out. But like the pig is right next to Stewie, so how did Brian not see that like a gigantic buff pig? You know? And then I like the musical number in this one. The pie song. I really love the pie song. My dad brought pie the other day, and I see the pie on the table, and I'm like, did somebody say pie? And then I just looked for the song on YouTube, and I had it playing like a few times during the day. And like, it's a wonderful day for pie. And I thought I love that scene. It's great, but like, unfortunately, it's not on Spotify. But this podcast will be. Whoa. So I thought that was great too. I was trying to think of what other. Oh yeah, the human Brian going back to like the other dimension, the one of like Sue and Brian, and he just gets hit by a car. I wonder if that's where they got, because I know Brian dies in one of the later episodes, so I'm wondering if they're like, oh hey, let's have a callback to this scene, you know? So.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That's yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that observation. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's my number 1 pick.
I would have to agree with Mike with North Pole. I really enjoyed that episode. It has that, like, the beginning of the episode, you're like, Christmas, whatever. And then you realize how dark and eerie it is. And it kind of gives you, like, I don't know, kind of like a realization of, like, you know, it's not, Christmas isn't all magic and fairy tales and stuff like that. Like, it's dark. Some dark crap goes on, you know? And, like Mike was saying, like, that scene where Stewie's like, hey there, buddy. Just gonna, he slowly starts cutting off his arm. He's like, alright, thanks. And, like, you know how awkward Stewie is? Like, I think it's just a great scene overall. And, like, I have no complaints to that episode. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if we could, I would play it during Christmas. Maybe we should play it during Christmas. Why not? You know? No one's really paying attention. Just have it on the back. You know? It's a good episode. No, it's no complainers. I could sit through the entire thing without, like, you know, like, getting up and, like, let me pause it. Let me, like, get on my phone. Like, it's a good episode.
Nice. Okay, so the last one, to no surprise for all of y'all, or at least Michael, the one that's number 1 for me is, well, Road to Germany. Because, honestly, I'm a sucker for World War II, so I just love how they just managed to incorporate that into a Family Guy episode with time travel and all that stuff. And it's really, I think it's really well made, like how Michael was saying earlier, just that jingle of, I mean, that folk song, it's like really catchy, and it's really, it's, I don't know, it's almost enchanting in a way, because you know how it's a very cinematic but also funny kind of way to, like, show it's a wedding, and also it's the start of the World War, so I just think it's really funny. And then they have the little dance off in the middle. There's funky little dances. It's so funny. And I grew up watching this show, this episode in particular, because, like, I remember vividly, like, in elementary school, I was just starting to learn about the war, and I was like, shit, this is some fucked up shit. And then I just realized that, Family Guy made a World War II episode. Okay, yeah, I love it with you know, I just love it. And the one scene that really stood out to me, it's so funny, is it's when for some reason Stewie and Brian and what's his name, Mort, are on the bomber, and they're about to, like, die with some, like, other plane. It's just these angels or something, like, just shoot
the
through.
Hawkman? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
I don't know where that's from. I want to say it's from Heavy Metal.
I was gonna ask about that. I don't know, because it's so random.
I still don't know to this day, but it's so freaking funny, and they just start being the shit out of everything. I mean, it's so random, but I think it was funny. But like I said, it's a really, like, neck and neck race between Road to the North Pole and Road to Germany, because they're just so well made. But, you know, for nostalgia reasons, I really like Germany. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's all our 8 episodes, or in some cases 5. But thank you for joining us on the first episode of the Family Guy podcast. We're going to try to follow this kind of theme, different types of episodes, us talking about them, what we like about these kind of episodes. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. It's been real. I'm Michael.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Martin.
And join us next week where we go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac. Thank you, everyone.